Welcome to part 5 of my NIS2 video series, in which I cover how to perform training and awareness campaigns. First of all, which topics have to be covered? It is important to realize that not all topics are relevant for everyone in the company, so therefore the topics are separated by target audience. First, topics for everyone. These topics are relevant for every employee in the company, including management. Basics of the NIS2 Directive. Basically cover everything I cover in my video series. Basic cyber hygiene practices. These include things such as password policy, not writing passwords down, how to behave in public Wi-Fi networks, not to talk about company secrets in public, and so on. Incident handling. Employees need to be aware what to do if they detect malicious activity or an incident. Backup. Employees should be aware of the company's backup policy. This is crucial for their own work if, for example, a ransomware attack happens and you need to revert to a backed up state. Business continuity. I stressed this point before, but you need to practice the necessary steps for business continuity such that everyone is on board when it becomes necessary. Authentication. If you use MFA, which you should, then employees need to be made aware why you use it, why it is not a nuisance, why it is necessary, and why they should check that a message regarding MFA is actually from the company and not a scam. Second, topics for IT employees and security managers. They should be aware of the policy on information system security and what it means for their daily business. They are usually involved in disaster recovery, meaning they also have to practice it regularly. Security in network and information system acquisition, development, and maintenance. This is something that IT personnel should know as they are the ones setting up these devices. Policies regarding cryptography. They should be aware what encryption schemes you use and why. Similarly, they should know access control and asset management procedures. Moreover, they must be aware how voice, video, and text, including emergency communication, are secured. Third, there are, of course, topics which are only relevant for the security managers. The necessary steps to be compliant with NIS2, so basically all I cover in part 3 of this series. How NIS2 relates to other cybersecurity and data protection standards and ISOs, something I will cover in the 6th and final part of the series. How certifications work and how to obtain them. Who the relevant government bodies are, especially of course the CSIRT, the Computer Security Incident Response Team. Security managers are also responsible for organizing regular cybersecurity trainings for the different levels of employees, such as I lay out in this very video. How to perform risk assessment and treatment. They do not need to perform the risk management themselves, of course, there are designated risk managements for that. They just have to understand the procedure. Also, they should know how to assess vulnerabilities and quality of direct suppliers. Finally, they have to get an idea on human resource security, how to assess the effectiveness of cybersecurity measures, and how and who is responsible to take corrective measures. Finally, there are a couple of points that are only relevant for the senior management. What companies have to comply with NIS2? This is what I covered in part 1 of this series. Main cybersecurity requirements, see part 2 of this series. How to approve and oversee cybersecurity measures and what to look out for. How to set up crisis management and what the role in a crisis is. How to evaluate supply chain security and what has to be done. What the reporting obligations are, which is mostly covered in part 4. Most importantly perhaps, what are the fines and liabilities? In which cases are they themselves liable? What is the status of cybersecurity legislation in EU countries, especially if they do business in other EU countries other than the one they're currently in? That's it. That's what's required to teach according to NIS2, and there are several ways to set up this training. This is not regulated, but here are some recommendations. First, assess the company's risks. That's how you know what to focus the training on. Are you a financial institution? You should deal with stuff like financial fraud. Second, define all necessary policies and procedures to establish roles and responsibilities. Third, define all target groups, and you can use the groups I laid out in this video as a start. Fourth, define the topics for the training based on the assessed risks and the established roles and responsibilities as I've laid out. This will differ for the different groups. Finally, define how often these trainings are repeated and how their effectiveness is measured. It is also important to define who's in charge of them. You can deliver these trainings either on site, using an instructor, which is probably the best way, but also, of course, the most expensive way. You can do online training using an instructor, also pretty good, but of course not as engaging as if you do it in person. Web-based trainings, these are probably the worst solution but also the cheapest one. So if you care more about money than about cybersecurity, this is the way to go. And that concludes today's video and the 5th part of this NIS2 series. The final part will be online soon, and then you have a complete NIS2 guidance you can refer to and even use for your own NIS2 trainings. See you in part 6.